get fired. Guess what you're going to lose? You're going to lose your health care. Yeah, you can buy into Cobra, but you're going to pay an awful lot of money to do it. I know people who have had Cobra and have paid into it that have retired or they've lost their job. You know what? Bernie Sanders' plan is a hell of a lot better than what we got now. And I just don't understand, Jack. I mentioned this to Dean Vanderstel, who ran for Congress a few years ago. I mentioned it to him this morning. I don't understand why certain people want to deny other people from getting health care. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I got it.
Please.
I have a friend. She's a doctorate. Went to school with her. And has a doctorate, I should say. And she bemoans the fact that I have retirement. It certainly isn't magnanimous, but I have a teacher's pension.
Mm-hmm.
Her work, all of her career, she didn't get a pension. And so she philosophically is against pensions. Instead of saying, I'm struggling now with a doctorate in my pocket, I can't make ends meet, and you have a pension, Jack, and so I'm against pensions? What kind of rationale is that?
No, she's directed her anger at the wrong person.
Exactly.
She needs to be directing it at her employer saying, why don't I have a pension? It's that simple. We've talked about it years ago on this show. I've been pounding it for years and years and years. Instead of asking, why does this person have this? You should be asking, why don't I have this? That'll change your paradigm. You want a paradigm shift? Right there it is. Just flip the question just a little bit. Not even a whole lot. You'll get your paradigm shift. By the way, WJR is owned by Cumulus Media, so it's not a surprise that they're running a bunch of conservative crap on their stations. Yeah. Good morning, Cumulus and iHeart and all you crooked corporate sons of bitches. You've ruined my business. You ruined radio. I'm serious, and that's going to be something I want to do as a special lights out segment on Southpaws. I want that just for our patrons because I'm going to go off, and it's going to be profanity laced, and I don't care who gets offended. But you people need to be scared about what's happening in media. You should have been scared for the last 30 years. Hell, I wrote my senior thesis on corporate ownership of the media, and guess what? 30 years later, I guess I'm right again. Unbelievable, folks.
Let's stick on healthcare a minute. We have said repeatedly that the number one litmus test for what a progressive is in this atmosphere of everybody walking to the podium trying to claim they're progressive, we have said continuously, there's only one real test, and that's when it comes down to the issue of healthcare. And I remember when the question came out, how many of you are for universal health care? The little dolly named Harris's hand flew up.
Kamala Harris.
Faster than Bernie's almost.
Mm-hmm.
But interestingly, she just released a statement this week that she has a plan that really is the antithesis of Bernie's plan or health care for all. It's privatization of Medicare. That she pressed the button on this article with the same hand she raised up in the air as being Medicare for all. That only took, 3 weeks? These wind socks? These weather vanes?
Let me just lay this out here for you folks. Kamala Harris, but this, and I'm really going to direct it to the voters out there that want a female president, that want an African-American president. She just hit a Republican talking point straight out of the pages of George W. Bush's workbook.
Yeah. Yeah, look at these Democratic pollsters.
I want to privatize Social Security.
Yeah.
Yeah, take Social Security out, put Medicare in. It's the same damn thing. It's a Republican talking point. I don't get
Sanders, in boxing terms, has done one hell of a job counterpunching.
Mm-hmm.
He warded off an orchestrated attack by CNN through the corporate shills, like Ryan, like Hillenbacher, what the hell his name is. Hickenlooper. Like the whole field. It wasn't just Ryan. It was, who's the other idiot up there?
Delaney. John Delaney.
He didn't just counterpunch and defend himself. He knocked them out. And he has been responding immediately. He didn't. You hear how quickly he said, I wrote the damn bill?
Yeah.
There wasn't much contemplation there. He couldn't take any more. Well, he couldn't take Kamala Harris's health care plan. He came out immediately and said, it's not Medicare for all.
Yeah.
Presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday stressed the differences between his single-payer health care plan and a new proposal from Senator Kamala Harris labeling her approach, real fancy name, ready?
Yeah.
Not Medicare for all.
Yeah. Where are you reading
this
from?
Pretty simplistic. This is from actually a news station, KXLH in Helena.
Oh, in Montana.
Yeah.
Helena, Montana. Oh, lovely.
Harris's plan, which was released Monday, would put the U.S. on the path toward a government-backed health insurance system over the course of 10 years, but stopped short of eliminating private insurance. They all stopped short. You want to know why they stopped short? You want to know? Because their sugar daddy is the one who makes sure they're not going to stop short. The sugar daddy doesn't mind if Harris stands on the podium and fools the hell out of America and raises his hand and says Medicare for all. How many people read Bernie's response to Harris? When he came out, real simple. It's not too hard to follow this. He said, it's not Medicare for all. Harris, you rose your hand that that you're for it, but your proposal 7 days later, it's not Medicare for all. Again, proving what we have said. If you want, how do you tell a vampire, Darren, in the sunlight, or excuse me, at night, right?
Yeah.
You take garlic. You put it under their nose. If they get pissed off, if a vampire gets pissed off with garlic under his nose, you got yourself a vampire, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You take Medicare for all and you peel the wrappings off. You put it underneath a corporate's nose, and they will look for a way out. Harris's way was just stall for a few days and come back with a privatization answer to Bernie Sanders' Medicare for all.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Jack, you posted a piece from Truth Out on our official Facebook page. I want to read bits and pieces of that. This is by William Rivers Pitt. This was published July 31st. Tuesday night's Democratic debate was a CNN-engineered center-right ambush of Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren that was so ham-fisted in its conception and execution, it could have been drawn up by Donald Trump himself. Is Bernie Sanders too extreme? Was an actual discussion topic. Zero polling candidates like Representative John Delaney and Senator Amy Klobuchar were encouraged to take swipes at Medicare for all, student debt forgiveness, and other big box ideas put forth by the two progressive frontrunners. Well, let me just clarify that. There's one progressive, and that's Bernie Sanders. Warren is a bit of a pretender. Go look at Operation Choke Point. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Many of the questions put forth by CNN were specifically engineered to allow the moderate, low, and no polling candidates an opportunity to directly attack Warren and Sanders. Again, Sanders more than anybody. Senator whoever, you once said that Bernie Sanders wants to roll into the future on rails lubricated with newborn kitten blood. Do you stand by that statement? An exaggeration, but not by much. CNN gave Delaney an inordinate amount of time because he was the loudest and pushiest of the anti-progressives clustered on the debate stage. Hoping to make his mark early, Delaney threw Walter Mondale and Mike Dukakis in Sanders and Warren's faces with his opening statement. He was aggressively wrong from start to finish, the leader of the back of the pack for one night by dint of volume. Let me just stop here. Walter Mondale is now 91 years old, former Vice President Mondale, who just last week wrote an opinion piece for the Washington Post saying we need to do something about the refugee crisis in this country.
Yeah, the man's always had a progressive streak. You know, I mean, seriously, his whole global warming, he was so far ahead. He took so much crap from the Republicans and the Democrats on that. It was prescient. We are seeing, if you remember the movie that came out, what was it? I can't remember, so many years ago, from his book.
Yeah, I'll have to look at that.
It was prophetic. You go back. He had a professor in college, I think University of Tennessee, that took the carbon rates at that time, right, that were going in the atmosphere, and he projected This is 20 years ago. Where we'd be now. And guess what? We're not there. You know why we're not there? It's worse than even this professor predicted.
Walter Mondale wrote a book in 1975, The Accountability of Power Toward a Responsible Presidency. Is that it?
But he had a book on the environment.
Are you sure it was Mondale?
Not Mondale. I'm thinking of... who the hell am I thinking
You're thinking of Gore?
Yeah. Sorry, thinking of Gore.
Yeah. But
My mistake. But bottom line is, these people are so right, and these corporate hacks get in there and try and undermine them. They try to, just like a termite, just try and nibble at their foundation, which is impenetrable.
As we mentioned, the Democrats undermined Jimmy Carter by having Ted Kennedy run against him primaried in 1980. Primaried a sitting president because he was too progressive.
And if you think this flock of establishment scum that sits there on the stage is accidental, people you'll never hear from again. They were brought in to take a couple shots and try and gang up against Bernie, and Bernie took them all on and beat them.
Let me continue the truth out piece. In the end, however, all he and the others did was bait the bear. Senators Warren and Sanders rose up righteous before every challenge and banded the moderate also-rans around the room. It did not take long for Sanders and Warren to figure out what they were up against. The prevailing wisdom among pundits who populate networks like CNN is that these two will soon have to crawl into Thunderdome together and fight to the death. That was not last night, speaking of Tuesday night.
Right.
When Delaney went after Sanders by using right-wing arguments against Medicare for all, Warren came barreling to his defense. She insisted, quote, "We are the Democrats. We are not about trying to take away health care from anyone. That's what the Republicans are trying to do, and we should stop using Republican talking points in order to talk with each other about how to best provide that health care," end of quote.
Folks, you don't think that we saw a vast array of talking points from the Republican Party, mouthed by Jack Taper? You think that we're not seeing? I don't know. I think I heard Trump say, "I didn't have to be there."
Yeah.
I did not have to be there. CNN took all the Republican talking points you'll ever need and threw them right at the progressives.
Trump was in Cincinnati Thursday night, and he made the comment to the crowd that the Democrats were attacking Barack Obama more than they were attacking him.
But you know what the establishment Dems come out with? Oh, we have got to stop this circular firing squad. Thank you, Tom Hartman. We have got to stop this cannibalism of our own party, our own dear party. This isn't cannibalism. This is a matter of correct positions on issues that will make a difference being attacked by corporate Dems. That's all. That's the dissension.
Oh, attacking other Democrats. You're just a circular firing squad. Wrong answer. Oh, my God.
But they play it, don't they? They play that.
They do.
One hit.
Let me continue here. Delaney's time in the butter churn did not end there. At one point, it was revealed that he's worth, listen to this, folks, $65 million, putting him $15 million within the margin of Warren's 2 cents wealth tax plan. When Warren heard this, she smiled and rubbed her hands together like a chef surveying a fine repast before laying out the all-pro people program she could fund with a tiny slice of John Delaney's fortune. The towering moment of the night also came at Delaney's expense. After he unspooled yet another ill-reasoned center-right argument, Warren gave it to him with hot mustard. That's a great line. Quote, "I don't understand why anybody goes to all the trouble of running for president of the United States just to talk about what we really can't do and shouldn't fight for." End of quote. The audience went wild as Delaney grinned sheepishly while blinking his unsettling eyes. Senator Sanders had his own battles to wage with CNN's chosen trio of moderators, specifically Jake Tapper. When Tapper tried to frame Sanders' Medicare for All plan as a giant tax increase, Sanders landed on him with both feet. He clapped back this, quote, "Jake, your question is a Republican talking point. And by the way, the healthcare industry will be advertising on this program with that talking point." End of quote. Zing. Sanders was not entirely sharp during the first debate in June, but last night, Tuesday night, I should say,
He was kicking ass.